If you've watched Seinfeld, you know what that's about. But Max, because we haven't gone to you, anything you want to say to Fergus and Steve before they ship out and we bring in Mike?
Clean. It's morning time in the UK.
I just wanted to say for a start that Fergus looks unseasonably tanned, and he must be doing really well in the used car trade, whatever the fuck it is that Fergus does, because he's obviously
not a used car. I work in financial services.
You work in whatever I say you work in, Fergus. And for Steve, there is never any excuse for half and half scarves, especially when you're dancing around your bedroom naked with it sort of sweetly draped across your tits.
And it wasn't in my bedroom.
No, I don't do that image again.
And it wasn't the half and half, so you're triply wrong. But
well, if I remember correctly from those very early Guns and Yellow Ribbons podcast, Fergus, where that story came up, I was never, ever, ever sober, even marginally.
No,
sober.
That's why.
I don't think you were born pissed.
I was, yeah.
But yeah, I get the hatred towards half and half scarves, but I'm sticking by my reasoning. And
look, when you have a blood relative, a family member who played for the club, I will, and yet you're not them through and through. You still prefer Arsenal. I think that's the one situation where we can. I know Max Arsenal won't agree, but you can have. You can allow it.
Yeah,
I don't even like it when players don't celebrate goals when they played for you in the past. That pisses me off. Like, you play for a different club now. Like, you signed elsewhere. Celebrate your goal. You scored a goal, son.
So people who don't celebrate goals, they
buy half and half scarves.
You appreciated Adebayor then? That meant a lot to you as a person. Love it. All right, so also joining us for this crossover moment of pure joy is Mike Scunny. From Scunny from Scunthorpe,
Norfolk.
I'm Potomac from Potomac Falls, but Mike and Max have a podcast called Arsebros. I try to find them on Twitter, and they're constantly suspended, so I don't even bother anymore. Mike's managed to stay off, but Max, how many Twitter accounts? You and Wayne Dinklage are the two people who I think have
Dinklage.
Yes.
That's
Wayne
name.
VV Club Vintage Remontada. I mean, he's had 91 different Twitter accounts, although Twitter's not supposed to know that. But other than that, Max, you're the man at getting accounts suspended.
Yeah, well, it's not my fault. It's Tim Sherwood's fault. It's Tim Sherwood's fault because every one of my suspensions, Mike, have been abusing Tim Sherwood.
It's definitely awful. Like, does Jack Dorsey from Twitter like is he a Tim Sherwood fan? Is that I mean, have you found his kryptonite?
I don't know. It's
like you and a couple of congressmen and women from over here that are like putting out bullshit about masks and stuff. Like that. Those are the people that they're worrying about. Max from Australia and a bunch of people who are threatening lives over here. So really,
I wonder if Mossad are tracking him.
If who?
Mossad are tracking Max.
Mossad, your next door neighbor.
Is that the
point proven?
Is that the intelligence service?
Yeah. They've put a satellite over I don't know, where is it, Brighton or Richmond? The Boer bar in.
If there's a satellite over anywhere, mate, they're trying to find all those places in Essex with the sunbeds, and I'm.
I don't use a sunbed.
Yeah, I know how warm and sunny it's been lately, but that's not. I mean, that's not real.
It's not. You are looking distinctively red, Fergus. To be fair, mate.
I was in the Olympic Park all day yesterday drinking craft beer, so that's why I'm a little bit red. Sorry, I was at a meeting.
That makes more sense than it being sun. Really quick, because I've forgotten about this over the last 4 hours, but I want to try to get Fergus your top four, your bottom three, and where you think Arsenal will finish this year.
I heard you doing this last night. The bottom three was the difficult one. The top four, I think, is pretty straightforward. Chelsea, Man City to fight it out for the top. And then Liverpool and Man United in the top four. Unfortunately, I don't think Arsenal have done enough in this window for us to... I think if we can get into the top six, we'll have made some progression. To go down, Palace, I think, may struggle this season. I thought Burnley, but Sean Dyche seemed to have some sort of Teflon that keeps him up. So I would go Palace, Brentford, and possibly Norwich, because Norwich are going to be the new West Brom and boing, and make the money by going up and down each time. And it seems to be, it's a good tactic. It can work.
A lot of people make money by going up and down a lot. I mean, it's a popular thing. They have a lot of them in Las Vegas. And in
I didn't make enough. That's why I now drive taxis.
Yeah, and in Thanet. And Arsenal's final position, besides reverse cowgirl.
I was just thinking. I just think that Steve and taxis. I'm sure I've seen something about fake taxis.
Fake taxis.
No, it's real. It's real. It's a real taxi. Although, cool fact. One of the women that is a regular on fake taxi literally lives around here and is at the same gym. So, I mean, when you walk through the reception at the gym and she stood there, and you just think, well, I've seen all of you. It's a bit
that's a reason on a treadmill, isn't it? Yeah.
My mates. There was a trip where I was over with my friend Tom Rosenhammer and Joey Murphy. We were over in London, and it was right at the middle of fake taxi, and we were just everywhere we went. We went to a Southampton game, and we're just looking at all the businesses, and we made them into like fake whatever the name of the business was, and so and then there's a tagline to it, so it was like fake Holloway kebab. You think you're going in there for a donor, but you end up with a boner. Like fake taxi is the most hilarious, stupid thing I've ever heard of in my life. But it's so we tried to expand it into other industries, and it didn't quite work. But
didn't quite work. Final position, I will go for 6th.
That seems to be the consensus of most people in here, except for JJ Garcia, who last night predicted us to finish 1st.
Sophie said 10th.
At what time of the night was that?
For him, he was only about 10 o'clock at night. I think 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, he's very drunk then.
He's an optimistic. He's an optimistic man.
Yeah, Sophie said 10th.
Yeah, Soph did say 10th. I don't see how we regressed from last year, but anyway, that's another conversation. Steve, we're going to give you Sebi's spot because I forgot to ask Sebi. So, Steve, top 4.
All right, top 4, I think, is going to be Chelsea, City, United.
Stan also completed Pornhub, by the way. He told me that himself. So
yeah, but it's easy now because loads of videos got taken off. So Stan's done it the easy way. He didn't complete.
You seem to know an awful lot about this, Steve.
We had 3 videos taken off of Pornhub.
I'm a single 27-year-old man, Fergus. What can I say?
We uploaded 3 videos to Pornhub, 2 podcasts that Andy and I were in, and then a sexy video of me brushing my teeth, fully clothed. And that, believe it or not, that was taken off Pornhub, and my career's just gone down since then. So,
so Chelsea, City, United, and Liverpool, I think, for top 4.
I'm surprised by how many people are not picking like an outside top 4, like a Leicester or a Villa or something like that. But I just bet to do that. But I'm surprised.
I think Villa are a good outsider.
It's got
it kind of is at this point. Bottom 3.
Bottom 3, I think Watford, Norwich, and Southampton. Not in that order, but I think
we don't have to do order.
Southampton are really gonna struggle. I don't think Watford have invested enough, and Norwich are just Norwich.
Yeah, Arsenal final position somewhere between 5th and 17th. It looks like.
I was going to say 7th. I would love us to finish top 6, but I just have a feeling that we'll just miss out. I mean, my answer could change in 2 weeks, but as of now, I think we'll just miss out. I think we'll get 7th. But I think 7th to 4th will be congested.
Yeah, kind of like it was over the last. I mean, 8th to 4th.
I mean, look, last season was crazy. 6 points off a top 4, but still finishing 8th. Nobody moved. Nobody moved in the table apart from Liverpool. But when we dropped points, West Ham dropped points, Leicester dropped points, and so forth. It was crazy last year.
And I don't think it'll be much different this season as well. So, Steve, Fergus, pleasure. Thank you for joining us. We have now crossed over into hour 14 of 24, and I don't know about you, Mikey, but I'm feeling pretty good. I did make a. Oh, okay. Fergus is gone, so I guess Steve. Now I gotta kick you out now. All right, bud. Take care. So, yeah, I did make my first technical error of the podcast, which was we were running a replay of a really cool podcast we did called the Podlywed Game. When we do Podlywed Part 2, you guys are going to be brought on as a couple. It was Andy and I from the Gooners Podcast, Arsblog and Gunnerblog from the Arscast Extra, and a group we probably won't be able to get on together again, Amanda and Sophie from the Highbury Squad. It was filmed about a year or so ago, and it was run like I think over in England it's called Mr. and Mrs. Here it was called the Newlywed Game. Really fun and entertaining, and it was about an hour long, 45 minutes through. I hit the wrong button on my computer and completely terminated it, and I wouldn't have been able to pick it back up where I left off. I would have started over. So my bad. I never said I was perfect. Everyone around me knows that, but now we've got the live content back. Mikey, did you get some rest? I noticed you got a different background. You said you had to vacate the bedroom.
I did. I truth be told, dude, I tried going to sleep. I tossed and turned. I couldn't. So I feel like death right now. I don't know how you do it. So it's over here midnight where I live. So yeah, ready to put in another 2 hours before.
Let's give some perspective. It's 3 a.m. where I live, but I woke up at 11:30 this morning after not a great night of sleep, but you know, I did sleep in this morning. So it's midnight where you are, but when did you get up this morning? You're up at like 4 a.m.
2:30 in the morning.
So you're almost at 24 hours right now.
I'm almost awake at 24 hours. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm at 16 hours of being awake, and although 14 of those have been spent talking, so that's a little different. But so welcome back, Mikey. I love having you back by my side. That sounded really, really weird. Max and
better
Scunny,
than on top, I guess.
Tell us why you're here. I'm guessing it's because I asked you. But what you have in common is a show. You know, we talked about to Fergus about there's a ton of podcasts out there. Many of them are very widely known because they put in the grind, they put in the graft, they do hard work, they put out regular content, good content, interesting content, and then there's kind of the leisurely, we pod when we can, when we want to. Hobby type of podcast, and a lot of those podcasts are criminally underwatched. Fergus's is great content. I'll put us in that category, not another podcast, Arsenal podcast. I mean, you know, but I understand why, because you really attach to something that's on a regular daily basis. Your podcast is what I like is unique content, and I think that's a way to describe Arsebros. But I want to hear kind of what is the show theme, and you know, let's go to inside the podcaster studio again. What is what's the word, the theme or the mission of your podcast, Max?
Firstly, to say the word cunt as much as we can in any 1 hour seating. That seems to be.
That didn't take long.
By the way, I do have.
There's a reason why we banned off Twitter, and I think you've just heard it.
Our next guest is in the chat right now, and it's a great story. It's a wonderful story. He hasn't listened to our podcast a ton. I just want to let him know this is not the normal content. This is an hour with a guy it's 5 o'clock local in the afternoon where he is, and he's been locked down and drinking all day. So John, don't get scared away. This is not our normal content, and I hope that Max is not the other Max. Your friend's son Max is not in the room, but in any case, I'm looking forward to our chat in less than an hour. With that in mind, Max.
So basically, we set out to swear as much as what we possibly could. We set out to get as drunk as what we possibly could, especially season 1, especially before we brought on Mike and Manny, who we all met actually on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. So Fergus brought us all together on Guns and Yellow Ribbons 4 seasons ago. That's where we all met. And then Toby and I, my brother and I, who were very opposite personalities. So you've got the introvert and the extrovert. You know, we would spend 3 hours, 4 hours sometimes after a game on the phone to each other, talking about the game, analyzing the game like pundits. And so we decided to put together a podcast. And then, like I said, we absorbed Mike, and we absorbed Manny, and we absorbed Ryan. For those of you who
absorbed Manny.
Basically, we absorbed these like just horrible personalities of people, 4 or 5 really horrible personalities into a room, and combined an environment with no rules, no preset agenda to what we were doing, no rules, nothing that you couldn't say, nothing that you couldn't do. And we ended up finding a family within a family, I guess. That's why we keep doing it, because we're not massive. You know, we probably sit around, we might get 500 listens and a couple of hundred watches or something like that. But for us, it was always more about having this expansive family of people from all edges of the earth. And you got people in Australia, you got people in America, you had Six and London. I ended up, me and Darren, who's the Delhi Gooner, who had the Arsenal India podcast, ended up meeting, and then we did a show together, and we're now great mates. So I guess that's like when they often say, when you say that you do a podcast, oh, do you make money? I'm like, no, it costs us money. Yeah. And they say, oh, why do you do it? And it's because we could pretty much any of us in this little Arsenal podcast community, where we've all been on each other's podcast, you know, we're great friends with Dan Potts and guys like, we can pretty much go to any city in the world and put out a tweet and find someone who knows someone within our little Arsenal community. So, you know, Arsebros, I guess we're we call ourselves the degenerates, the group of degenerates. And if you're into just degenerate conversations, but I will also say this, in between all the degeneracy, I think where I've listened to other podcasts who that's the only thing they're all about is the degeneracy. We are all about the degeneracy, but we're also all very, very big Arsenal fans, very tactically minded. You know, we go into these deep conversations about football and about tactics and about strategy, and then somehow end up talking about how massive Socrates' cock is.
Yeah, I mean, when you can intersperse that with the degeneracy, as you say, I mean, but isn't that really just Arsenal knowledge? It's just inside Arsenal knowledge.
What, when you talk about Socrates' cock is?
Yeah, I mean, we had Chris Wheatley on earlier today, and he said nothing about that. So you've just proven yourself. I'm sorry, Chris, but these guys have more inside knowledge than he does. You know, it's just on the wrong stuff, I would say. So you called Ryan a degenerate. I've met Ryan a handful of times. He seems like he's persuaded into being a degenerate, though. I mean,
easily led, our friend.
Easily
Ryan.
led.
Very easily led.
Not a ringleader per se of the degeneracy, but you know, he can swing either way, I guess you could say, when it comes to the degeneracy situation.
He can
That's
swing
what we heard
either
about
way.
his personal life.
Well, if he ever decides against Megan, you know, she's welcome. No, never mind. That statement can't end well, considering I've 26-year marriage and 2 kids. Mikey, you're gonna check out I'm gonna put you on the spot. Have you checked out Arsebros yet?
Yes, actually, I have. Yeah, for the most part.
Does your family like? I know you conceived one of your son to our podcast.
Of course.
You told us that, but will you let your family listen to the degeneracy?
Oh, absolutely not. No, this is like when I listen to Arsebros, it's kind of like watching porn, right? Like I do it like I kid in, like not a lot of people know about it.
Up to
like
his ear.
Headphones, like it's one of those situations. But no, actually, I have chimed in the live chat before. They have another gentleman on that is very a gentleman, probably 180 right there, right? There's another gentleman on that's on a lot. I'm forgetting his name, but he's fairly hardcore judgmental of the club. Like you could feel like it's coming from a good place, but man, he's
Is
frustrated.
that your brother, Max?
That could only be money.
There you go.
That's money all the way.
Yeah. You could tell he's frustrated as hell as how like the club has been ran. But yeah, I chime in a lot. I don't often get to comment because it's most of the time during work and I'm driving around. But yeah, They pop up word times, and the very, very rare times when Ryan pops up, he makes sure to let me know. So I always tune in when he's on.
Nice. Now, Max, you joined us for the first time some months ago. Am I correct in remembering that your water's wife broke? Your wife's water broke while you were on our podcast, or it was a false alarm or something like that?
It was a false labor, but at the time of being on the podcast, we weren't aware that it was a false labor. I was on the podcast regardless of the idea that the labor was happening.
I mean, that's dedication. I've had people cancel on us because they broke a nail, and you remained on our podcast despite believing that your baby was likely to be born in your home while we were podcasting live, which was really what I was hoping for. Because we do like unique content and for things.
We could have done a real Simba moment, held it up.
Yeah, exactly. So, how old is the baby now?
5 months. She is now.
Jeez, time flies.
Yeah.
Walking, teeth, healthy, all that stuff.
Yeah, just
podcasting yet?
Just doing baby stuff, mate. Just being a baby. But there's already
that qualifies them to have a podcast.
Yeah, and Mike knows this because obviously Mike knows me and my brother. But at the core of our family unit, right, is a core of real cantankerous, disagreeable people. And she's already at 5 months showing a lot of signs of being very, very disagreeable.
You know what her first word's going to be, don't you?
Yeah,
the B word. Yeah. I love how he just resigns himself to the fact that. Now, I want to make Max feel at home, so I'm gonna match him hat
you look
for
like
hat.
A train
here.
Driver.
Tit for tat, hat for hat. Except when I wear this, I start sweating because it's hot. It's very hot in this room. So, Scunny, and I just realized we've got 3 mics and a Max in here. This is very inconvenient for Max when he has to identify which mic he's talking about. But Scunny,
he's got words for me anyway. So
you can go Scunny, hers, and Magic if you want. But so, Scunny, we've talked after games a lot of the time. You've been on with us open mic and at other times, and other than people in a group chat claiming we're spending 100 million pounds on players this summer, what have you made of Arsenal's transfer activity? Let's bring this back to kind of the fact that we're 2 days away from the beginning of the season, and we have to make something of this. Is it an abject failure? Is it a work in progress? What's the summary?
I don't know. I think with them being quite youngish signings like I don't even know his name. Sambi, I think his name is, isn't it?
Lokonga.
Yeah, Lokonga, that's it. So it's quite early here still for me. And Tavares, I think they're going to be quite good young signings. Ben White, I don't understand the signing of Ben White. We had the third best defensive in the league, third best defense in the league last year. So I couldn't really get why we spent 50 million on Ben White.
Did the defense pass the eye test for you though? I mean, third best statistically fine, but I don't know. Maybe we allowed the third least goals, but half of the goals we allowed were just clown show Benny Hill moments.
Yeah, I get that. I honestly get it.
But I don't
understand. I still don't understand spending 50 million on a player when really we have no goal scoring players.
Well,
that was my issue. That's what I was getting at before you went.
That's the thing. It's not Ben White in isolation. It's Ben White to the exclusion, presumably, of other people that are bigger priorities. But
yeah, I just thought there was 50 million probably better spent elsewhere. That's my sort of understand. That's my issue on that one. But he looks pretty good. I've watched him in pre-season. He looks decent enough. But I still think there's as we're going on about the clown issues in defence, there's still plenty of it going on, and it's not Ben White. So
at least we don't have the guy that looks like a clown anymore, literally, like in David Luiz. I mean, whether no one could argue he wasn't, at least somewhat good for the team, but we need to get, say goodbye to the clowns. Despite a pretty shady and shitty preseason, I mean, Arsenal did win 5 Premier League games on the trot at the end of last season to vault up the table into 8th. I hear a lot of people saying that we're no better than 8th. I mean, we got Sophie saying 10th. Danny the GFP saying 8th. Most people are saying 6th, but we cleaned out the scum and the rats from the dressing room in January and instantly saw an improvement in this club. Now, if we're guilty of not changing things enough over the summer, then the premise should be, well, yes, other teams have gotten stronger. Well, maybe we haven't. But I don't see how we revert to 8th when we had the second best form. And I mean, it does make a difference to me when thinking about this season that we were 15th on Boxing Day and second in the league from Boxing Day on. I understand that that and £5 and you could buy a donor, but it still is a trend that I think is either the players bought in or I mean, it wasn't beautiful football, but it wasn't flat. It wasn't completely flat track either. So I think if that can just continue, then I mean, maybe we're not a top 4 side, but how could we be 8th unless we really think all the other teams picked up that much pace? So Max, football related question, and I guess this will be our preview to your answer of top 4, bottom 3, and Arsenal's position. But is 8th our floor this season, and it's just about whether we can do better than that, or is it our ceiling?
I've got 6th. I've got 6th in my head is a highly successful season. I think we'll come 7th. I don't think we'll make the top 6th. It's not like everyone, when they look at these things, and I mean, I took to poking fun at people on Twitter a lot throughout this until you were no longer allowed. Yeah, throughout this transfer window, I've taken to poking fun at people a lot because I find it amazing that everyone thinks that Arsenal is the only team who are doing business. Everyone else is doing business as well. So if we're shifting forward, if we're moving the meter forward, then everyone around us is moving the meter forward as well. You've got a Chelsea who are going to have a better manager, are going to be doing more. You've got, every team essentially going out and buying people in the same vein that we are. And, someone put up the other day our best 11, and our best 11 was, give or take, our best 11 from last season. So in my opinion, we really haven't moved forward in any great manner. I think when we cleared the deadwood out, we got a little bit of a bump last year and we started to look better, and then we reverted back to kind. And I also think that the season itself, when you remove fans and you remove that energy and you remove everything that home and away has, that it brings to the league and it brings to teams and it brings results, I kind of feel like crowds coming back this year, we're going to see a bit of a return to form as far as not seeing these outside teams kind of do as well as what they had done in the past. Right now, I'm looking at the team sheet and I'm looking at, a replacement left back. I'm not really that excited about Tavares. Do I think he's a decent player? I think he's a decent player.
Max, of all people, you can't call him Tavares when the pronunciation of his name is Tuvaj. I mean, I can't let you not use Vaj in the pronunciation of his last name. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
You don't see. I mean, I think I've just done you a favor.
Yeah,
you've just done it for the season there.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Any chance of getting back on Twitter now is lost.
So basically, I'm looking at this squad: Mike, and Mike, triple Mike. I'm looking
3
at
Mikes and a baby.
And I'm not seeing a huge amount of improvement. And then here's the kicker, right? Here's the thing I really struggle with, Mike, and Mike, right?
Oh, no.
The same guy who was playing the same boring as batshit football with the same excuses last year, right? And the same way that I saw a really great tactical podcast, and it was called The Arsenal Donut. And it was just about us moving the ball around in this circle, in this donut. It was literally everything that we'd spoken about on Arsebros for the entire season. All of our
sure wasn't fake Arsenal podcast.
Yeah,
with the donor.
But basically, as long as Arteta's there, and I said this at the start I said this to Mike a few weeks ago. My hashtag for the entire year is going to be "Prove me wrong, Mikel." That's going to be my hashtag. Prove me wrong, because I don't think you're very good. I don't think that you play a modern style of football. When I look at the way that other teams are playing more of a power game, moving the ball faster, progressing the ball quickly from back to front, and I watch Arsenal with this ponderous, possession-based Pep Guardiola 2 seasons ago, Pep Guardiola, a previous iteration of Pep Guardiola. That's what I see Arteta as playing.
Pep Guardiola when he was managing Barcelona B.
Basically,
because that's the talent level that he has at the moment.
Well, that's the issue that I've had, and this is what I've been saying to a few people who I know, is that Mikel Arteta is playing exactly the same as what Pep Guardiola was doing a couple of seasons ago. The problem is we haven't got those type of players that Pep Guardiola has.
We don't have a single one of those types.
Exactly, and this is the big
Their
thing.
worst
Like,
player is our best player at this point. Well, maybe not. Saka.
There's a lot of heat on Leno at the minute, and about him not being good with his feet, and and a few other things. And it's like, well, he's not used to playing with his feet. Well, why keep trying to force this style on Leno, for example, of playing with his feet when he's not doing that? Well, yeah, that's a great picture.
Bird Leno.
But I'm just saying, why keep forcing it? Play to the strengths of the players that you've got. And he's not doing that. He's sort of forcibly doing this Pep Guardiola-esque tactics that is just not working.
Scunny, if Leno is bad with his feet, then what was Czech?
Oh, he was terrible.
That's
Czech would have been better with 2 amputated legs.
But I'm just saying, it's like at what point does that excuse cease to exist? It was like, play Leno because Czech is bad. Oh, now Leno's not good. I'll go get.
No, this is what I'm saying. It's like he's getting.
You're just giving the Emmy Martinez lovers more fuel.
I'm just using Leno as an example because I've seen all the stick that he gets on Facebook, on Twitter, on everything. He's probably the most hated behind Xhaka at the minute.
Do you know why goalkeepers are easy targets, Mike? Because everyone else on the pitch, there's a great statistic. It's like for a goal to be scored, 3 people on the pitch have to have made a mistake from front to back, right? But it's always the guy in goal who seems to cop the flack, or it's always the guy, not the guy who didn't press up the top of the pitch, not the guy who didn't do his job, not the guy who didn't pinch, not the 9 players who didn't all get to the right spot, get to position A, block off position B, stop the transition, not the person who didn't play the right pass, played the low percentage pass into the block, or Arsenal for the entire of last season, who just whipped pointless fucking balls into the box with no idea of what they were doing and no fucking target man. Also, it could just be headed out and then we could be transitioned and too advanced up the pitch. So it's like the narrative that it is, and this is why I come back to the Arteta thing. The narrative that it's always players, it's not fucking FIFA, right? You don't just go out and say, I'm going to go sign an 88 and an 86 and he's got 92 pace. Because you know what you end up with? Fucking Andros Townsend. And no one wants fucking Andros Townsend in shit. You end up with Aaron fucking Lennon in your team, in your FIFA team. He's shit. Fucking missed a air swung for England to go out to Portugal. Don't forget that. I haven't forgotten about that. Aaron Lennon, even if everyone else has. Right? But that's what you end up with. And that's why I keep coming back to it. Right? There are so many iterations. There are so many teams in the Premier League who do not have the players who would give their left nut for some of the players who are in this Arsenal team, and yet they are better coached and better run and had a better chance, and have finished above us and have pushed us further and further down the table. So I keep coming back to it. I'm like, hashtag prove me wrong, Mikel. I think you've got enough there physically to go and get it done. There's enough players there with your ESRs, with your Sackers, with your Tierney's. I think Callan Chambers is a cracking player. I think Hector Bellerin could prove a few people wrong this year. Full season, no injury, full preseason. If he hangs around, is it possible? Yes, there's some fucking deadwood there, but go and play with the team that you've got, Mikel. He can't play another season saying, oh, I don't have the fucking 50 million pound player that I think I need to play in a very specific way. You're a fucking coach. You go and win the games regardless. Cunt.
You had to finish that.
I was going to say this is the reason. This is the reason why I don't get the. There's another thing as well with Guendouzi. There was a lot of talk about him being such a hard guy. Such a stubborn kid. But that's what I mean. If he was any sort of coach, you'd coach that out of him and work with him and move him forward because he was looking like a cracking young player. So, I just. By the way, personally, I'm the same as Max. I said I was going to nick that hashtag off him and prove me wrong, Mikel, and I'm going to use the same thing this year.
I'm going to use prove me wrong, granite. By the way, Mike Scunny, things in Scunthorpe are so tough right now. You cannot afford a torso. It's just a disembodied head sitting on a table.
How do you know what's going on in Scunny?
I'm just basing it on the fact that you don't appear to have a torso.
It's because my seat's dropped, and I can't be bothered to stand up and put it back up.
Well, look, I mean, I'm getting concerned texts from Denmark, from Turkey, from worldwide. Like, is he okay? Is the blood still flowing? Because it's like a bowling ball sitting on top of a table that we're talking to, but a very attractive one nonetheless. So sorry, I just wanted.
Yeah, sorry, my chair's dropped, and that's why I'm so.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
He's bored a neck.
I just sort of slouched. What?
I said you've purchased a neck. You still can't afford a torso, but now at least you've got a neck.
Yeah, I've got a neck. Yeah.
Way to go! You've purchased a neck. Good for you. So I got nothing. Mikey, pick me up, man. That's why that's why you're here. It's the prove me wrong thing. You do want to be proven wrong, though, right? I mean, you're not Max the type of guy who. I mean, there are some people that have stuck their neck out very early. They're very thin, pencil neck that would rather, I think, at this point, because it's better for business, be proven right about Arteta being the wrong person than to end up being proven wrong. It seems like you probably would love to be proven nothing more than to be proven wrong. And I think Sophie from the Highbury squad's really kind of the same way. Very, very, very strong in her opinions about Arteta not being the right person, but more than willing and hoping to be proven wrong. There's
Mike, I think if you're going to be on any form of platform, you're going to be doing any form of punditry. I mean, which I guess is, we laugh about it and we joke about it, but that's what we do as podcasters. We come online and we produce content and we give opinions, right? That opinion can change. My opinion on Granit Xhaka has changed 2 or 3 times over the last season, where I've said, he's absolutely shit. And then I've said, I can see his value. And then I've said, he's absolutely shit again. And then towards the end of last season, I kind of centralized my opinions on him. And I said, he's not world class and he's not shit. He's a 7 out of 10 player who produces a lot of 7 out of 10 football and is capable of a 5 out of 10, 3 out of 10 times, and is capable of a 9 out of 10 once every 20. So does that mean
not at the left back position though? As long as he's not at the left back.
So the idea, like the prove me wrong Arteta thing, it flows into our players as well. Hector Bellerin, right? I spent the entire last season saying, go, 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 go. I'm done with you. I think you're done. I think you're done. I think you're done. If you trace me back to a season before that, I was one of the people who was saying, Hector on his day is one of the best right backs in the competition. So your opinion can change. Your opinion is allowed to mold. I think this thing where people nail their colours to the mast. Yeah, and then completely refuse to be proven wrong. So I said on Aubameyang, and Mike will back me up here, for almost every week until the FA Cup final, I said, do not give him that contract. Do not give him that contract. It's bad business. It's bad business. We're going down the same track we've been before. He's 31. And then he goes and does what he does in the end of that FA Cup run and the FA Cup final. And Manny, top corner, Mike, let's call him Mike 2, for the sake of the 3 mics in the room. Saying Manny was like an impassioned, on ours. Even Manny, who is the hardest to change his opinion, at the end of that, the 2 of us sat in a podcast, granted fairly drunk, and said, well, he may have just earned that contract. If you were going to earn that contract in any way, you earn that contract by almost single-handedly dragging your team into an FA Cup final and then going and scoring the goals in the FA Cup final. Do I look at that now and look back on it and say, I really wish I had stuck to my guns and said, no, don't give him the contract? No, because we're football fans and we're passionate and we can change our mind and we can be fleeting. And I think that if you are making opinions and you are so worried about being right rather than it being about the greatness of your football club, then you're watching football and you're following a football club for the complete wrong reasons. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, Mikel. Make me eat my fucking words. And if and when we're in the Champions League next year and Mikel Arteta ends up being the guy, I'll be the first guy to stand there and put my hand up and say, I didn't think he was the guy.
Well, that's what you're asking, to prove you wrong. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like I don't think you can prove me wrong. It's I really hope you prove me wrong. And Mike and I just 2.5 hours ago were accused of being fence sitters and and we are. But I think the reason I don't want to speak for you, Mike, but it's just because I don't believe that I know enough about tactical football. I don't have the nous. I gotta be careful because my whole house is sleeping right now. But I don't. There's no reason why my opinion should mean anything. When it comes to non-footballing things, I can be very opinionated and come out very strongly, as with Granit Xhaka, and where my opinion is not going to change on that. But it's not because of his football at all. It's because of everything other than his football. But you should go with what you're feeling at the moment. You can't. What I said or felt 8 months ago, I would expect and hope that would change. And I'm not trying to still fit the narrative to my opinion. The narrative should be fit to what's happening, not to the opinion that I stuck my stake into the ground and said. But Mikey, I mean, what do you feel is the background of? I mean, we were saying this because who was it? Kelly. Kelly comes out with either a all in or all out type of opinion a lot of the times, and we're just not like that. But I mean, what's your rationale? Why are you so wishy-washy like me?
I think the hope is what gets me over the line. So I'm generally a more optimistic person. Like I do look the club, I see how the team is set up, I see how they play, and yeah, sometimes I'm like, fuck, that was bad, right? But I often do look at exterior things where I'm kind of like, we didn't get the rub of the green, so to say, right? Like I know that we look at certain situations like last season, and we look at like the Leeds game. That was, we had like the Pep incident, the VAR decision with David Luiz and stuff like that. And stuff like that like drives me absolutely insane, right? So I kind of look at that like a little bit more of luck. We would have made top 4 because we were like 6 points off, and the perspective would have been greatly different because I think people are more result driven. So we make top 4 and automatically, it looks dramatically different, right? But on the same side, I kind of look at it kind of like similar to what you said, Mike, was a second half of the season by adding an attacking midfielder and Smith Rowe finally being healthy. He came in, took Arsenal by storm, so to say, right? Had a great breakout season, and so on and so forth. I just kind of honestly believe that the team, if they remain fairly healthy this season, I just don't see as regressing as all. Like I look at Sambi as a great addition, so automatically our midfield looks in a better position than it was last year. Now, I'm not saying that I'm like happy with the transfer window as it is, but I'm one of those people that I'm still kind of convinced that there's going to be more additions. And I'm not talking about Ramsdale. I'm talking about, I really, truly believe there's going to be 1, if not 2 midfielders, be it one might be an attacking midfielder and one might be a central midfielder. So I truly believe that there's going to be another midfielder coming in. That's what I'm pinning my hopes on right now. But just looking at the squad and what we have currently, what's going on, I just kind of look at it like we have a Smith Rowe from the beginning of the season, Martinelli that I'm convinced is going to get more minutes over William this season, Saka who's booming, Pepe that's coming into form. So I kind of look at it and pin it and say there's no way that Lacazette and Aubameyang are not going to get more chances. More chances normally equals more goals, depending on the situations that are brought up. A healthy Tierney. We finally got a specific backup for Tierney. So as of right now, I'm like looking at the squad and saying it's very, very gradual, but the squad is better than it was last season. So
I think, Mike, though, the problem is that the Premier League moves so fast. And because
absolutely
everyone else is moving their dial along faster and faster and faster, and we're still fucking around in the bargain bin.
It's like Ferris Bueller said, like, life moves quickly.
But Max, can I ask you though, because you said shopping around the bargain bin. So let me pick your head and what is your perspective on this? Because like I'm seeing a lot like I never get on any pod and say I know exactly what this player is, because quite frankly, dude, I don't watch a lot of other teams. I watch teams when they pay the Arsenal. That's what I do, because I spend time watching other leagues, to be honest with you. So when Arsenal plays, that's when I pinpoint certain players. But like Ben White, I didn't have a really educated decision on him, right? I'm more of a type of fan that's like, we're going to sign this guy, hope he does well. So Ben White comes in for 50 mil, which, you know, it's third. Is it the second highest for us? No, first highest defender. Sorry, I was thinking about Saliba as our third highest defender as far as fee. I don't look at that as a bargain bin type of buy. That was a very specific player that the club chased for a long time. That reports came out from his agent said, Brighton from the get said 50 or fuck off. Tried months, like multiple, I think it was like 6 meetings total. They bent at the will. It wasn't shopping for bargain. It was a player that they wanted specifically, and they matched the price. And then everybody kind of reacted like, holy shit, we can't spend 50 million on this guy. Now, granted, I feel like a lot of people are looking at that and saying, we spent 50 million on this center defender, so that must mean we have no more money for a center midfielder. I think that's kind of like the perspective. So that's where I'm coming from, where I'm kind of like really hell bent that I don't want to have a over the top opinion on the transfer window yet, because we could just be made to be like fools, right? But if we're qualifying just Manchester City and Chelsea, look, I don't pretend that we're even close to them, and I know that drives some certain people crazy. Like we spoke about Manny. I know Manny doesn't want to hear that. Manny kind of like, we should be competing with them. I just don't see how we could compete with them. I think Arsenal are playing a very long-term game where they have to build very gradually, and this is what we're going to have to do. We are taking baby steps into becoming what Liverpool was doing 2-3 years ago. And if you're looking at the overall youth in our squad,
the difference being that Liverpool sold key assets that they had for maximum dollars. They got rid of like Dominic fucking Solanke for like £30 million plus add-ons for anyone who ever got rid of him. And then they reinvested that money wisely, and they went out and identified one of the top managers in the world who Arsenal had also identified and then walked away from after the Hull City FA Cup final. So I understand that when you know, like in business and within where I work, you end up in a lot of rooms with people who use a lot of big strategic words. And because they use a lot of big strategic words and they talk about plans, it sounds like they know what they're talking about. But a lot of it's just removing decision-making, immediate decision-making that is required for growth. So when I hear long-term plan at Arsenal, I start thinking, why the fuck is the Arsenal putting in a 5-year plan where that 5-year plan started 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and now we're saying we're at stage 1 of the 5-year plan? So I would argue that when you're looking at an entire squad, when I talk about bargain basement, if you're talking about us getting into the top 4, getting back into the top 4, go through every single team who's ahead of us, and pound for pound, if you look at all of their teams, all of their transfers, everything they're doing, what they're doing is they're identifying who they want, and they're going out and they're getting them. And it's spread across the entire team. We're currently looking at, I'm currently looking at a handful of guys who have come from lower leagues, a load of really young kids who, even though we've spent money on them, you could argue that they're completely unproven in the Premier League. Whereas when you look at top teams, top squads, what they've done, look at the Cities, when you look at the Chelseas, they go and get top players who are Premier League proven, who they know are going to take no time to bet in. Just go get them and go put them in. They're already there and they're already done. So these are the sorts of things and sorts of concepts that I don't understand. I don't like the idea, and I'll put this to you, Mike, too. Yeah. If we are doing this 5-year plan, no fucking Arsenal fan out there should be pissed off if we finish 7th. In fact, finishing 6th, if we've got a 5-year plan in, should be lauded. It should be celebrated because we're doing it on less money over more time and we're building something. So everyone needs to stop fucking talking like we're somehow going to end up being the Arsenal of yonder year, bringing in, Manuel Petit's and Patrick Vieira's and Gilberto Silvas and bringing in all these, because the Premier League has changed, as the world football has changed so much now as well, that you can't really go and cherry pick like diamonds out of leagues. You've got to do what we're doing with Longaka.
Sambi. Yeah. So
and you've got to go find someone. And what we're doing is we are hoping he's going to be the guy. Mike, I fucking guarantee you, we play Party and Shaka 7 out of 10 games this year. I fucking guarantee you of that.
Yeah, I could see that happening for sure. Sambi is still very young, and I don't know. Look, he looks great. I don't know how he's going to develop, but I got high hopes. But Max, I guess where I'm in this is going to be very like upsetting, because I understand there's fans that, similar to me, kind of got into those like late 90s, early 2000s, and we're so used to seeing Arsenal at the top of the picking order, where we're kind of used to. I think the mentality is still, we're Arsenal fucking football club. And I think football has evolved so much that we're no longer that top dog. So for us to win the league again, in my eyes, we require like a miracle league, like 0 injuries and everything goes perfect for us. Like, you know, remember, like Liverpool won the league and had like 0 injuries, and then the next season they got royally fucked by injuries, like 2-3 key players, and like everything went to hell, right? Where and just to add like perspective, and I kind of like, I understand where the frustration comes from, but let's be honest, if Arsenal qualified last season to Europa League with a Leno header at a last minute at a random fucking game, there'd be plenty of fans right now saying we got fucking lucky. So that's how Liverpool qualified for Champions League, by Alisson scoring a wild header, and they managed to get in there. So look, so to kind of, and this isn't even a question of me defending the manager, by the way. This is just for sake of conversation of how you see the team evolving. Scunny, if you want to get into this, feel free. If not, Max, you could continue on. I asked this question a few hours ago where I said, Arsenal Football Club, after this transfer window, if you're looking at the contracts and the bad eggs that are gone from this club, the overall youth of this team, and if you're looking at, you know, we got like top quality 20 to 24-year-olds. This team now is a more appealing job for a better manager. Would you agree with that?
At this moment, for me, no. I don't think it is right now. I think the issue that we've massively got is we have got a lot of what we'd say dead wood on the books at the moment in them high wages. And I think this is the issue that we're having at the moment. And you've got to look at this in the transfer window this season, which I think is going to be what we say a very disappointing transfer window in some respects. Yes, we've got Ben White for 50 million. I don't, unless we sell another couple of players like Joe Willock, you know, on 25 to 30 million, whatever he's going for to Newcastle. If we get lucky with someone with Eddie Nketiah for 20, 25 million, you're not going to see much coming in either, because we've got so much high wages, and you've got to look at the size of the squad that we've got as well. In that, you know, we've still got the likes of, you know, Hector Bellerin, I think he's on some slight, say, for argument's sake, 110, 120 grand a week. We've still got Kolasinac, who's on roughly the same sort of money. That we just can't see. Hang on, let me finish the train of thought. That we can't seem to get rid of. And the problem is no one's willing to pay them type of players those types of wages. And I think that's the issue why we haven't got them, or even a chance of getting a half-decent manager at the moment, because of that reason. Because a half-decent manager coming in, for instance, is going to want some kind of transfer. He's going to want some transfers, and he's going to want some, you know, he's obviously going to want some money to bring in his transfers. We haven't got that at this moment in time.
Look,
you know, when we start getting rid of these players, then maybe we might start look at being more appealing.
Look at the Allegri rumors, Scunny. So Allegri was happy to come under the proviso that he had a £300 million war chest, and that he could sack everyone from the backroom staff and bring in his entire backroom staff. That is the modern top 4 manager. Yeah. That's what the top guys want to do. They don't want your team that you built over 5 years. They don't want your fucking youth. The only thing they're interested in of your youth is how much they can sell them for, and then how they can bring in the players that they want for their system, because we will never see an Arsene Wenger again. We will never see a Alec Ferguson again. We'll never see figureheads at football clubs like we did in those glory days of the 90s and the early 2000s. That's never going to happen again. So I don't think it makes us more appealing for a top manager to come in. I think it kind of makes us appealing for a manager at Arteta's level to come in. And I mean, I said this last year over and over again. I wonder if we got the manager who's at the level that the club is at right now from board the whole way down. That's why we got Arteta, because we couldn't offer more to get a top seed person.
With the excellent points, and with the 5 minutes we have left in this segment, I have a couple things I want to do. First, Mikey, we're gonna you've been up for almost 24 hours, and we're gonna say goodbye to you until hopefully, if you're able to join. I don't remember if you're able to join us.
Just go jump in that pool behind you, Mikey, to keep yourself awake, mate.
Yeah, it'll wake me right up for sure.
That's pretty nice, but yeah, Mikey, thanks for coming back and joining us, and hopefully we'll see you a little bit later. If not, you know how I feel about you, my friend. I love you, and have a good sleep. Get some rest,
right, guys. Yeah, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
All right,
Max,
cheers,
Scunny, pleasure being on the pod with you guys. Later.
Same.
So
I feel better now, because now I feel like I'm getting double-ended by two mics.
Yeah,
even in my pornography, I find that third dick to be much too much.
Thank you.
Taxi all the way, mate.
So we got a few minutes left. Our next segment. What we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna get a new an updated total on the Gooners versus Cancer, and then we're gonna have a prize drawing. The total right now is. Let's bring this up. The total after this is hour 14. So we're 14, or hour as we call it now. Hour 14 out of 24. We are at 4,527 out of 5,000, and absolutely getting ready to hit that goal. Hopefully we'll do it in the next few hours as more and more people are waking up. One more prize to draw real quick, and then we're going to switch over. The final of two 89 t-shirts from Fees Tees. Stephen Feely down in New Orleans makes these t-shirts. They're great, and I'm going to send one out to the winner of this next drawing. And if I can get my act together here, I will find the right page to get to the random picker. Bear with me for a second. And here we go. All right. The winner of the 89 t-shirt, the final 89 t-shirt on offer in this competition, let's call it, is Nick Canning. Nick Canning, with a very, very generous donation before. Nick has won himself an 89 t-shirt. Truly appreciate that, Nick. Congratulations. And you are still in the draw for future prizes as well. That's an 89 t-shirt from Fees Tees, with the numbers 89 created with Brian Moore's famous call of the Michael Thomas goal in 1989. Let's finish off the hour with your top four, your bottom three. Max, I know you said Arsenal 7th in your mind. Who's your top four?
So I think it will be City, Chelsea, Man U, Liverpool.
Okay, pretty popular top four there. And in no particular order, who do you see getting relegated?
I think Southampton are going to struggle. I think Palace are going to struggle. And I'm going to go with a Brentford yo-yo, straight up, straight down.
Brentford yo-yo. Only one of three going straight up and straight down. And it's really the one that you'd think would be the best equipped to make it in the Premier League, in my opinions. And a lot of people have said that. So, Scunny, your top four, bottom three, and where, if not in those categories, Arsenal fits in.
Well, my top four is going to be, I'm going to go City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool.
Okay.
My bottom three, I'm going to say Southampton, Norwich, and Watford.
Okay.
I think Brentford and Palace will struggle, but I think they'll just
one of those late season. They finally get the breathing room in the last few weeks with a big 6-pointer.
I think they'll just make it.
Yeah,
and Arsenal, I reckon I'm going to say 9th.
9th, okay.
Yeah. I just think
I didn't get to
explain too much earlier about it, but I just think with the crowds being back in, I think like Max, I'm going to play double advocate with Max here because Max was saying like with crowds being in, you don't think you're going to see much of the other teams like West Ham and Leicester and everything push up in Aston Villa, but I think it's going to be the opposite way around.
Well, I mean it's going to be an interesting season. Says, make sure, Magic Mike, that I win the Highbury jersey. Again, it is not a Highbury jersey. It is a commemorative T-shirt from the final game at Highbury. I just want to make that clear. But we're going to bring on our next guest. I can see you, but so give me a heads up. Are both of you there? Both of you there right now? Okay, yes. I think we do have that. So, all right. So, Max, Scunny, thank you for joining us. Where can we find you, either on band social media or on the YouTube channel?
So we're at the Arsebros. I think that's the latest one that hasn't been removed.
Yeah, that is the one. Yeah.
The latest one that hasn't been removed. I love that.
Well, I've got 3 ghost accounts now because
I could tell by you're a guy who's notably suspended from Twitter, but you keep talking about your hashtag for the season. I'm like, is there anything you want to tell us?
And we're still to work out what we're going to do with this season with Arsebros. We're having
there's a young man listening in right now, so just be careful with how you finish this off.
We're trying to, because last season we had 3 shows a week. Like you said, we really grounded out last season, and it sort of it took away from our enjoyment of the football towards the end of the season. We actually, all the guys on Arsebros said it really took it out of us to be producing 3 shows a week. So we're sort of having conversations now about whether we're going to do 1 show a week or whether we're going to do 1 show a month and get all 5 of us on and bring in guests and do a nice big show. But we're going to work it out as we get close to the season.
One show a week for an hour or 1 show a month for 12 straight hours is
who
would do a 12 straight hour podcast?
Going hard, yeah. But it is, Mike, as we've spoken about, Mike. It is
Mike.
I don't think people realize how energy sapping it is to actually produce multiple shows every week and get up for it every week. And it's hard graft. And for the guys who do actually manage to get their podcasts out there really big, the reason why they're big is because they've really put in the graft.
Absolutely. And
I'd agree with that.
You come in and Arsblog is the man, and it surprises a lot of people, but it doesn't once you really get involved and about it. But Elliot, who kicked off this podcast with us, of Arsenal Vision, they put in incredibly hard work. But when you see a podcast go from a handful of listeners to thousands of listeners at a time, the Highbury Squad and Tom Canton are the best 2 examples of that. It's because they have just basically said, this is what I'm going to do every single day now. And whether it's to build a career and build a portfolio and financial, or whether it's like with Sophie, where it's just a labor of love and something that, because she's in the public relations and media business, she's using as part of her CV. It's just fantastic, and they put in so much harder work than we do, and that explains the difference in numbers for sure. But yeah, it isn't easy. So, guys, I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much, and we will be talking more throughout the season.
Awesome. Cheers.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a free agent, so if you want to contact me, the Twitter